Welcome to a new series about current affairs. Let us have some fun today and see how Islam tries to adjust to the systems of modern world. Watch this small clip and let me know how it sounds in your ear. This is exactly what modern-day Islam is all about. You will hear all the right sounds like Islam is peace, women are given preference, there is no compulsion in religion, killing one person is like killing the whole mankind, yada yada, and it continues, but is that true? This episode is to show you how Islam and democracy cannot go together. So the word like Islamic Republic is an oxymoron. This also takes us to another interpretation about the feet of iron mixed with clay in the dream of King Nebuchadnezzar. Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, as said by Abraham Lincoln. It does not have the concept of a religious theocracy. The elected representatives of the people would form the government and they would make laws according to the wishes of the people. The voice of the last citizen carries weight in a democracy. Democracy works by a system of institutions, and the most important institution that makes, enforces, and maintains the law of the land is called the parliament. The parliament may have one or more houses. Laws are enacted in the parliament based on the votes of the people who are the elected representatives. In the parliament, the collective will of the people are made as law. There is absolutely no scope of a different law to override the laws made in the parliament. This law that is enacted by the parliament forms the basis of the functioning of the judiciary, bureaucracy, and executive branch of the government. The officials of the government are appointed and have to function based on these laws. Even if there are monarchs in certain democracies, their presence is more vestigial in effect. The only role they fulfill are just ceremonial. It has no impact on the enforcement of the law of the land. Now, what is the problem that makes Islam incompatible with democratic values? That is because Islam is dictatorial in nature and its values are anti-people and unchangeable. Democracy works only where there is a scope to modify and change the laws according to the circumstance. This is a response from Islamic website islamqa.com, which clearly tells you that democracy is perceived as anti-Islam. Hence, it cannot go with Islam. The welfare of the people are not paramount in Islam. It is only what Allah wants through Muhammad that can be executed in the land. Hence the rulers that rule the land of Islam, also called as Dar-ul-Islam, are primarily religious leaders who has the proprietary rights to implement the laws of Sharia and punish the guilty who breaks the Shariah law. These religious leaders give their authority to the religious police force, who have unbridled power to persecute any person in the land on the base of Quranic interpretations as they deem fit. In Saudi Arabia, these religious police are called mutawas. Normal citizens and residents are so scared of these people that they escape out of the presence of these mutawas. It has been commonly reported that they can charge you for any crime and sentenced without any substantial evidence. As the judiciary are also their own wing, there is no escape from their clutches. Most of the beheadings and public floggings are conducted by these mutawas. Even though I have few such videos in my possession, I cannot put that as part of this video because of reasons you already know. It is a fairly established fact that Sharia and democracy cannot go together. Just as fire and water are opposing forces, they cannot be together. That is why Daniel chapter 2 verse 43 says that the end-time Antichrist regime will be of a clay mixed with iron kingdom. They cannot coexist in one domain, but they are being pushed to remain together by various forces at play. Now let us listen to a small clip of a long interview where we get a feel of how life of a normal person goes on in the reign of Allah and His Prophet. This is explicitly a case from Saudi Arabia, where they rule the country based on Islamic law.
And we want to zoom in on the situation in Saudi Arabia now with Dua Dahani. She works for the European Saudi Organization for Human Rights. Thank you very much for joining us here. Now, Amnesty mentions in its report that 81 people were executed in Saudi Arabia in a single day last year. Can you tell us more about this mass execution?
Yes, actually, thank you for hosting me. Yes, as you mentioned, in 2022, Saudi Arabia executed 81 people in the same day in a mass execution. Most of these people who had been executed, their cases had been not monitored by the organization, the human rights organization, but at least we have two cases that we monitored as the SOHR, and that United Nations mechanisms covered their cases and assured that they were facing political charges and that they did not get a fair trial. The cases that we did monitor in this mass execution actually reflect the overall cases of executions. We noticed that they did not get a fair trial, that there is lack of transparency, and this is very well noticed when we know that we did not continue or did not monitor any of the cases, or at least most of the cases of the people who had been executed.
Executions and extrajudicial killings are not unique with Saudi Arabia. Any country which desires to implement Shariah law will have that in a gradual manner. The Islamic Republic of Iran boasts of being a republic, but it has a unique blend of Shariah inserted into it. So for all practical purposes, it is a country governed by Shariah law with a fake shell of democracy covering it. We all are aware of the turn of events which happened in Iran following the killing of a 22-year-old lady by name Mahsa Amini. These pictures show how much they were repressed by the regime, and finally they had to come out to the streets to protest. At the end, many people lost their lives by being victims to the brutal hand of the Sharia rulers of Iran. The country calls itself as the Islamic Republic of Iran in its official documents. Keeping this in mind, let us check what is the meaning of the word republic, and then we can continue with the discussion. A republic is defined as a state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. But Iran has a special twist. There is a leader who is above the president, and he is the one who holds the supreme power. This person is neither elected nor selected. He is the one who runs the nation. The religious leader Khamenei. The rest are puppets who does as directed. As he is the supreme leader and is unelected, he does not vacate his post. He is in the position till death. And when he dies, a successor takes on. The successor is automatically appointed based on who is the leader of the religious body in Iran. The parliament is not part of the decision-making. The parliament of Iran is more or less a gathering of Shia clerics and their group of administrators. In an Islamic Sharia system, the supreme leader or the king is the law. He is immune from any action. Dissidence will not be tolerated, just as it happened during Muhammad's time. If a person is killed just because the supreme leader wishes, there is no recourse under the Sharia law. Jamal Khashoggi incident is an excellent example of that. Notice the desperation of those who are trying to get out of Afghanistan by hanging on to the U.S. Air Force plane when they knew that Sharia law is coming into Afghanistan. They prefer death rather than living under the Sharia law. The Afghanis know very well what is the effect of living under the Sharia law, as they had experienced it earlier. Now let us check the report card where we can see the differences between the Sharia law and the democratic system. That way we can be objective in our decision-making process. The first point is about the freedom of speech and expression. Unlike that in democracy, Sharia does not allow any freedom of speech and expression. You are bound to speak and express what is acceptable to the ruler and the religion. If you have a different thought, keep that in your mind and do not even try to speak it out, or else you will land in the prison or be even publicly flogged or executed, depending upon how offensive is your thought to the supreme leader. Now coming to the freedom of religion. Unlike any democratic system, Sharia law does not allow the freedom to preach, practice, and propagate for any religion other than Islam. There is no freedom for changing your religion to any other religion except Islam. All people born to Muslim parents do not have the right to think for themselves to accept any other religion. The use of your own faculties to choose your religion is forbidden to Muslims in the land. The non-Muslims have to practice their religion within the confines of the walls of their own private spaces. To understand the hypocrisy of the Shariah law compliance, let us have a look at some data. According to this data of 2016, the entire country of Iran has 99.6% Muslims and just 0.4% Christians or others. This is the officially released data. In 2020, an NGO by name Gammon did a survey, and these are the results of the survey. Notice the real data when you scrub beneath the veneer of Islamic Sharia. The government figures are true when an official survey happens. This is because people would not want to risk their own lives by telling the truth. However, when confidentiality to privacy is assured by an independent body, the results are so different. Officially, they might be Muslims, but in reality, they have their own belief systems, and the government cannot scan through the minds of the people. Even here, you can notice a huge number of people, over 22%, have decided to not divulge their own belief. This is because they do not even trust the NGO. But one thing is sure, these are not Muslims because they would have no fear to declare their Islamic faith anywhere. Therefore, it is safe to believe that Islam is a minority religion in Iran and many other so-called Islamic countries. The real data shows a totally different picture. The next important point is the freedom of information. This is not about anybody's personal information. It is about information that affects and is in interest to the general public. A majority of this domain is captured by reputed media houses. As the credibility of media houses have started to go down, the new entrant on the stage are the social media platforms, which includes YouTube. Unlike good democracies in a Sharia-compliant country, you will not have access to websites which disseminate information that is critical of Islam or the ruler or the regime. They will restrict the flow of information to their population. Sharia cannot deal with criticism, just as the Prophet of Islam would not tolerate dissenting voices. They will eliminate any sources of critical information from their country and try to spread information which is favorable to the ruling regime and the religion of Islam. There is a big media house by name Al Jazeera, which is funded by the government of Qatar. This media house goes around the globe and criticizes various other governments and entities. However, they will never be criticizing the government of Qatar. These media houses are not independent to disseminate information. They are kept in their place to be the mouthpiece of the respective governments. The influence of these governments have gone beyond their boundaries. By means of heavy funding to foreign media houses, they have ensured that they would not publish articles which portray their funders in a negative light. So in effect, they are successful in gagging these media houses. Now lately, these Sharia-compliant governments have been successful in buying the allegiance of social media giants too. Let me give you a clue. Why do you think the videos of Christian Prince are removed within hours of it being published? I have been noting that videos that are critical of Islam will not be shown in the suggested videos of potential viewers. If you think my videos have blessed you, please do share with your friends and family so that we can cross over the blockade by YouTube and other media houses. There are very less chances that videos which are critical of Islam will have much traction. We have come to the end of this episode. God willing, we will continue this series further. Let us come together and show the truth that the sound of rushing waters fit a river and not the fire.